Our selection will be Hallelujah, Salvation and Glory.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we get closer and closer to the redemption of the children of Israel, we have to consider, I think a lot of times we look at what we're going to have to deal with in dealing with the other nations. But our biggest battle, as it has mostly been, is going to be from among ourselves. Understanding that you're going to, be pushed together with all of these different beliefs, these different ways of doing things, and Yahweh is going to have to allow it to be sorted all out. This is why he says, I'm going to bring out all of the children of Israel in all the places where I've scattered them. But in that place, then I'm going to purge out the rebels from among me. Now, the issue is very few rebels believe that they are rebels. There are some that know that they're rebels. They know that they ain't going to follow nothing, they ain't going to do nothing. They already know that. But then there are those that have been coerced into being rebels. They are not intending to be rebels. They are just following some other individuals. When you get right down to it, in most of these so-called secret organizations, you don't really find out what it is you're worshiping until you get to a certain level. And the Masonic order is a classic example of that. You got to get high enough up before they even reveal to you certain things. So we have to keep that in the forefront of our minds, because we're going to have to deal with our own people. Now, recently I was sent a video on the name of God as it pertains to ancient or Paleo Hebrew. Even according to the creator of the video, there are no Bibles written in ancient or Paleo Hebrew, which already gives us limitations as to what we will be able to do with the language itself, since we won't be able to read the scriptures with it. The narrator claimed that there is no O, U, or E sounds in ancient Hebrew. The narrator then proclaimed that all sounds end in the ah sound. So the Hebrew tetragrammaton of YHWH would be pronounced in their understanding as Yahweh. So we are dealing with, and this is what people have to first of all understand, we are dealing with the same Hebrew tetragrammaton. That means we're dealing with the same name, not a different name. What we're then dealing with then is the pronunciation of the same name. And when we get down to this, this is how the true focus of the discussion gets somewhat distorted. Because as people are going through all of these things about how to pronounce the name, they then get into the belief that somehow we're dealing with a different name. It is the same name. All of this hoopla is about how you pronounce the name. This video employs a technique that is used in various organizations. This technique is constant repetition. Constant repetition is a brainwashing technique. A lot of people watch videos and have no idea that they are being brainwashed into believing a certain thing. In examining a video that was sent to me, the narrator used the name of God that he called Yahweh over and over again. After hearing the narrator's repeated use of various terms, the listener comes away repeating what they have heard over and over, not knowing they were brainwashed into believing that way. The way human social behavior works is this: if a message is repeated enough times, others will begin to accept it as a commonly held belief. Studies have found that if just one person repeats the same opinion 3 times, it has a 90% chance of converting 3 different people in the group to have the same opinion. So the first erroneous part of it was that all of us are going to pronounce everything the same, which is a seriously flawed concept to begin with. None of us talk the same. We have different people, same nationalities from different areas of the country, and we all pronounce the same words differently. So having that belief is a strange thing, but we're going to deal with it from a biblical standpoint. Then we'll deal with it from a secular standpoint. So we're going to let the word prove that same thing. Judges chapter 11, and we're going to start at verse 1.
Judges chapter 11 and verse 1. Now Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of an harlot, and Gilead begot Jephthah. And Gilead's wife bare him sons, and his wife's sons grew up. And they thrust out Jephthah, and said unto him, You shall not inherit our father's house, for you are the son of a strange woman.
Right. So then they had indignation because they didn't have the same mama. You know, back in the days, they would have said, that's my half brother. Yahweh don't play them kind of games. He deserves inheritance just like all the rest of the sons. Go ahead.
Then Jephthah fled from his brethren, and dwelt in the land of Tob. And there were gathered vain men to Jephthah, and went out with him. And it came to pass in process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Israel. And it was so, that when the children of Ammon made war against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah out of the land of Tob. And they said unto Jephthah, Come and be our captain, that we may fight with the children of Ammon.
I tell you what, jump to Judges 12 and verse 1. So then we see what the first issue with Jephthah was, is that he was forced out from among his brethren because they didn't like who his mother was. They say his mother was not an honorable woman. Go ahead.
Judges chapter 12 and verse 1. And the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward and said unto Jephthah, Wherefore passed you over to fight against the children of Ammon, and did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house upon you with fire.
Now understand, later on in chapter 11, they then go back and ask the same one that they forced out. They go back and ask him to come and fight for them because they knew what abilities he had. So this is how he got to be back in a position of power. But then there's others that are not happy with that. Go ahead.
And Jephthah said unto them, I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon, and when I called you, you delivered me not out of their hands. And when I saw that you delivered me not, I put my life in my hands, and passed over against the children of Ammon, and Yahweh delivered them into mine hand. Wherefore then are you come up unto me this day, to fight against me? Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead, and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilead smote Ephraim, because they said, You Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim among the Ephraimites, and among the Manassites.
So understand, this is inner fighting between Israel. So they're fighting one another. Go ahead.
And the Gileadites took the passages of Jordan before the Ephraimites. And it was so, that when those Ephraimites which were escaped said, Let me go over, that the men of Gilead said unto him, Are you an Ephraimite? If he said, No, then said they unto him, Say now, Shibboleth. And he said, Sibboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right.
Right. So you can tell what part of the country somebody is from by how they pronounce words. We just had a new brother come to Bible study the other night. I said, Brother, where you from? He said, Maryland. I said, now see, I know he from Maryland because I know how he said Maryland. See, if that brother would have said Maryland, I would say, no, you're not. You're not from there, brother. You're not from there. See, when somebody say they from the South and then they say shorty, I know, no, that ain't how we say. See, we say shouty. See, so I already know you're not from here. Same thing in the word. These are the same people. He said, okay, you say you're not one of them. Say this word. They can tell by how they pronounce certain words who they were. Now, pause. This so-called Paleo ancient Hebrew video, which has like 500,000 views on it. That's about 500,000 confused individuals. But the whole one of the thought processes was everybody pronounce this. This is the correct way to pronounce it. Everybody pronounces everything the same way. If that was the case, these brothers were gonna be able to slide by and say that they was something that they wasn't. Once he heard how they talk, he knew what they were. Go ahead.
You know, even in the movie The Black Klansman, David's Duke thought process is that no black person can say R. They say R.
Right. And the whole time, this very articulate brother was able to talk and make David Duke think that he was talking to a white man. And he was talking to a black man the whole time. And he's cracking black jokes with him. All because he sound a certain way. Because he spoke a certain way. So anybody that's saying, you know, we all are going to pronounce these words the same way, those people are not realistic. Go ahead.
Then they took him and slew him at the passages of Jordan. And there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 40 and 2,000. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then died Jephthah the Gileadite, and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead.
So understand, the one who they didn't think was honorable because his mother was not an honorable woman, this is the one that they ran away from them, that they then had to run back and go get to fight for them, and he ended up being a judge over Israel. And we have to consider these things about what we perceive to be honor. Now, one of the other commonly held misconceptions as we're going through these videos, whenever somebody sends you something, first of all, when you send something out, you need to go over that before you just send something out, and then those people end up having blood on their hands because of some things that you might have introduced to them. So you need to consider that before you, because you don't know the level where each individual is. So you might be able to look at something and go on about your way. You send that to somebody else, next thing you know, they got on a Indian tutu and they hopping down the street and making smoke signals. Well, where you get that from? You know that video you sent me? What? Now guess who got blood on their hands because they sent them the video and they got on Indian feathers and hopping down the middle of the street. Guess who got blood on their hand? You, because you sent it to them. They wasn't going to do that before you sent it. So we have to consider those things. And even in listening to all of those things, we have to understand that first languages, no matter what it is, nobody has ever learned a first language from off a piece of paper. You see these children here? They can all talk. They didn't learn how to talk from no piece of paper. So you're watching this person talking about ancient Hebrew and they showing you vowel points. Which one of your kids know about vowel points? How many kids you don't know what a noun is before they start talking? So some things, this is how I say sometimes we get so educated we turn stupid. Because there's certain things that are basic. That is not how you learn how to talk. Your kids learn how to talk by listening to you talk. They listen to other people. You don't give them a piece of paper and try to teach them vocabulary points when they're learning their words. These are things that we have to consider whenever we start examining some things. Now, what we have today is that people are forgetting the curses and want to jump from where we are today to where we came from in ancient times as it pertains to language. The curses that are, by the way, not over, were ordained, several other things were ordained in that. And the speaking of other languages was no doubt one of those things. Let's go to Genesis chapter 11. It seems like every so often we have to revisit this same concept. Genesis chapter 11, and let's read verses 1 through 9.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built.
Now, I want you to pay attention as we're reading this in Genesis, that we're passing by Lord in all caps, which is Yahweh. So that will be a question later on as to how Yahweh's name is there in Genesis. So just, that's a side note as we're reading. So just put that in the back of your head and we're going to get to it in a second. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
So Yahweh was the one that wanted to divide people, because staying together, and people want to believe that, Yahweh is all about togetherness and we all need to be together. when Yahweh see that we hang out together and problems happen, then he starts separating us. It's basic stuff. When I was a kid and we started getting in trouble in school, they figure out, y'all two ain't got no business to each other. You go sit over there. And you go sit over there. I was separated all the time in class. I ended up, I couldn't sit by nobody. It didn't matter who they put me by. I was going to get in trouble. So they figure out if he got somebody to talk to, they're going to be giggling. And when they start giggling, now there ain't nobody listening to teacher. So Yahweh know the same thing. Look, separate them. Because if they together, some evil about to happen. Go ahead.
So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did Yahweh scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
Now, did you finish that?
Yeah,
now let's go to that definition of first of all, to confound. He said, confound the language. Read that.
Balal, a primitive root to overflow, specifically with oil. By implication, to mix. Also, to fodder, anoint, confound, mingle, mix, give provender, temper.
Now, these are all the possible ways in which that particular word can be used. So then we say that he is confounded, he's confusing it. Then we go to the next one, Babel. Read the definition of that.
From H894, from H1101 definition, confusion. Babel, that is Babylon, including Babylonia and the Babylonian Empire.
Right. So then when we deal with what the Babylonian Empire is, it is a empire of confusion. When you deal with the Babylonian Empire, it is an empire that is completely mixed with all different manner of people. And even when it talks about judgment upon Babylon, it says all the mingled people within inside of her will start to go back to their own place. So you find mingle, mix, fodder, all of that connected to even the word Babel before you even deal with the kingdom of Babylon. All right, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11. These are very necessary things, because what's going to happen if you're not at a certain point with these things, you'll let somebody make you to believe that they're on this extremely high spiritual plane because they're so-called speaking this very old language, and you need to change everything you're doing to fit this new language that they found on paper. 1 Kings chapter 11, and let's read verses 28 through 37.
And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Shlomo, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahiah the Shilonite found him in the way. And he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahiah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take you 10 pieces, for thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. Behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Shlomo, and will give 10 tribes to you. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. Because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father.
Now, Shlomo provided a way for all of this to happen, but you see the people followed him in doing so. So the same thing that Yahweh did amongst the heathen in separating them and all of the things that they got to do together, he does the same thing to Israel. Here it is. We are together as a nation. We start doing evil, and then he divides the nation. Sin causes division. Go ahead.
Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I'll make him prince all the days of his life for Dawid my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I'll take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto you, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that Dawid my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take you, and you shall reign according to all that your soul desires, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if you will hearken unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as did Dawid my servant did, that I will be with you, and build you a sure house, as I built for Dawid, and will give Israel unto you.
All right, let's go to our Genesis chapter 49. So we see that the blessings to Israel are conditional. They're not just one of these things where you can do whatever it is you want to do, and Yahweh has made these promises. And these are the things that we hear on Sunday morning, that we can do whatever it is we want to do, and we're going to receive all of these blessings because they've all been promised to us by faith. But I tell you, if you don't believe that these teachings are doing what they're supposed to do on the other side, Sister Yahara sent a video this morning. It was T.D. Jakes of him being basically he took the Eddie Long thing and went to a whole different level. I'm sorry, was that you, Yaziel, that sent that? Yaziel sent that. I'm sorry. It was T.D. Jakes being first of all, he looked just like us in the video. He got on the garb and everything. They ain't never been. And see, we've been saying that over and over. Where y'all get these suits from? What happened to the days when the pastor looked like, the choir? Now, he got on the garb, and I'm already tripping on that. I ain't even got to the, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I hadn't even got to the real distorted part yet. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what? Who told him to dress like he supposed to dress? When did he get the memo? So I'm not even paying attention to that. Then all of a sudden, they got a mock Ark of the Covenant come out the back, dressed up, priests, head coverings, full clothing, carrying the Ark of the Covenant through the stage, and they marching across the whole stage and everything, completely dressed. Now, the interesting thing about it is he and all of the people up there look like us in this little thing. Now, that is extremely peculiar. From the same people who've been telling you that you overdressing, that you don't need to do all of this, all of a sudden, he looked just like us. See, this is how you have to know and stand on what it is you've been taught. But because if you let somebody talk you off of it, think about this. Somebody talk you out of dressing in culture. Then you flip through the channels and see T.D. Jakes in culture. You know what kind of fool you gonna feel like? You don't let them talk you out of taking your clothes off and putting on some mess, and then now they in culture. Ooh, if that ain't the devil, I don't know who it is. I'm gonna talk you out of it, but I'm gonna do it as soon as you stop. Go ahead, brother. Where we at?
Genesis 49 and verse 5.
All right.
Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not you into their secret, unto their assembly, mine honor. Be not you united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel.
So Yahweh said they ain't got no business being together. They brothers. They ain't got no business being together. So they get together and bad things happen. See, that's some of those things that people don't consider with some of they clicking up. And I be telling people, all right, you keep with all that shindigging, sooner or later, something gonna happen because you keep mixing all them various ingredients together. And one of them ingredients ain't gonna mix right. You come to the party, and you come to the party, and you come to the party. Before you know it, here comes some fireworks. Whatever. You done put the wrong ingredients together. See? You didn't know enough about this individual to know that they ain't got no business with that individual. Now, here come the firework. Congratulations. Because you the author of this confusion now. See? You didn't know enough not to put the matches right by that gas. See, you got to find out who is the match and who is gas. And when you find that out, you know, look, y'all don't stand by each other. You go over there. You got to know enough to separate gas and matches. But if you don't know that, then you can't do that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 6. You had something, brother?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's funny how the Spirit works. I was looking at these two brothers last night. And just like you mentioned with Jephthah, they kicked him out because his mother, they had a different mother and they figured she wasn't honorable.
Mm-hmm.
The fight with Simeon and Levi is because of what happened to their sister Dinah, which was of their mother.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole thing meant something more to them.
Mm-hmm. Now, we have to outright reject doctrines that require us to rearrange our thought process on unrelated subjects to accept the teaching of the new doctrine. The subject at hand was supposed to be the pronunciation of the name, but in the process, other scriptures are re-explained to fit the subject matter. One of the scriptures that has to be re-understood to fit this doctrine is the belief that Moshe and Israel already knew the name of Yah, even though the scriptures say otherwise. Mm-hmm. So then let's go and read that particular scripture so that we can understand where this is coming from. Exodus chapter 6, and let's read verses 1 through 3.
Then Yahweh said unto Moshe, Now shall you see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And Elohim spake unto Moshe, and said unto him, I am Yah. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Esaac, and unto Jacob by the name of El Shaddai.
Now, other people are going to tell you that that's not what that means. That it says, this is what he says. When I appeared unto them, I didn't tell them my name on that level. What they knew was El Shaddai, which is Elohim Almighty. Okay? So the brother that knows two languages, two different Hebrew languages, says that that's not what that means. So for you to get to where he is, you have to rearrange your understanding of what the word says. Go ahead.
But by my name Yahweh was I not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage.
All right, where you at?
Verse 4.
All right, now, stop right there. The understanding of this scripture is said to be speaking of Yahweh's reputation and not his physical name. The narrator claimed that they always knew his name. He states that Israel would not believe that Yah sent him, but according to what's written, the Father Yah gave Moshe signs to prove that he was sent by Yah. Go to Exodus chapter 4. See, whenever somebody has to rearrange some other things for you to get to where they are, your red flags are supposed to start going up. So now I got to rearrange my thought process on some other issues. So it's like when people start coming to me about the Enoch calendar. The law of Moshe says 7 Sabbaths supposed to be 49 days. For me to accept their calendar, I got to take Moshe's 7 Sabbaths of 49 days and I got to throw it out the window. And for me to have to throw something that Moshe gave out the window to accept the doctrine that you're presenting to me, that's a problem. And it's always going to be a problem for me. Exodus chapter 4, and let's start with verses 1 through 9.
And Moshe answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, Yahweh hath not appeared unto you. And Yahweh said unto him, What is that in your hand?
Now, this is the whole point, which goes completely against what was displayed in the video. This is how Yahweh is proving that he sent him. So when somebody starts telling you, no, he was talking about his reputation, they didn't believe that he was going to be sent. No. Yahweh gives him physical things to prove that he was sent by Yahweh. Go ahead.
And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from before it.
Right. And he know that the children of Israel are going to do the same thing. You get a stick, you throw the stick down, the stick turn to a snake, we up out of there. See, this is new thing now where we go around and carry snakes and play around with them. We just not generally them kind of people, okay? When you go to the parks and you see people playing with the snakes, that didn't normally used to be us. Now we starting to do that. See? But it wasn't normally a thing that was okay with us. We didn't hang around with snakes. All you had to say is that there was going to be a snake and you wouldn't see us. Simple as that. So this is a serious sign before Israel. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Put forth your hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand.
Right. And you know that is a, see, people think that this is one miracle. This two. You know how much faith you got to have to grab a snake by the tail? The snake bite with his head. You grab the tail, the head, whip around. So Israel already like, is he finna grab that snake by the tail? He about to die. He about to die. And then it turned back into a stick. They be like, oh yeah, Yahweh sent him. Yahweh sent him right there. I don't know what that little snake stick thing. He the man. That's gonna take care of the business. Go ahead.
That they may believe that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers.
Right. That they may believe. What it say? The Jews require a sign. Go ahead.
The Elohim of Abraham, the El of Esaac, and the El of Jacob has appeared unto you. And Yahweh said, Furthermore unto him, Put now your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put your hand into your bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
Right. So he took the black hand, put it in his shirt, and the black hand came out white. White as snow. Extra white. Then he took the white hand, put it back in his shirt, and it came back black. Yeah, Yahweh sent him right there. Yahweh sent the dude right there with the white hand, the black hand, and then it turned back to the black hand. That's him. What's the confusion? But see, people are going to try to tell you that they're so educated that these signs didn't mean that. They meant something else. What? Go ahead.
You know, even with just the signs, the power of the signs as they increased. Without them signs, what did Pharaoh keep saying? Who is Yahweh that I should let Israel go?
Exactly.
So if he just went out there yelling out, Yahweh sent me, Yahweh sent me, Yahweh sent me. Okay, and get from in front of me.
Yeah, but when them frogs and them lights start showing up, man.
You know what? Maybe Yahweh did send you. These frogs, I'm itching and everything.
Right.
And Yahweh. Then he showed the power. Yah showed his power.
Right. Keep going.
And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe you, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto your voice, that you shall take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land. And the water which you take out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land.
Now jump to verse 23.
And I say unto you, let my son go that he may serve me. And if you refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay your son, even your firstborn.
So understand In verse 22, it says, and you shall say unto Pharaoh, thus says Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. In the entire thing, that what I try to get people to notice, especially when they run across these videos, is anytime somebody is telling you about the ancient holy name and Israel is not in the video, they really don't have understanding. They don't understand that the name of Israel is holy. Why do y'all think we get into so much trouble? Because we walking around with a holy name and not walking in holiness. Israel is a holy name. And we're going to make sure that we explain that. So before he even deals with this, he's saying, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. We don't even understand who we are even set up on the earth in likeness of. That's a very, very powerful thing. Go ahead.
Verse 27.
Yeah, jump to verse 27.
And Yahweh said to Aaron, go into the wilderness to meet Moshe. And he went and met him in the mount of Elohim and kissed him. And Moshe told Aaron all the words of Yahweh who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel.
Right. Now, this is one of the reasons why when we greet one another, I have brothers embrace brothers, sisters embrace sisters. We don't allow brothers to embrace sisters. Because, see, brothers is down for this one part. But, see, you see this? These are two men that met and kissed. Now, brothers like, wait a minute. Now brothers are quick to kiss a sister. Shalom, sister. Yeah, but I ain't see you kiss Pookie over there. Go ahead and kiss him. Go ahead and kiss him. Come on. Right. Keep your lips to yourself. Read, man.
And Aaron spake all the words which Yahweh had spoken unto Moshe, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that Yahweh had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped.
All right. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. So we understand what these miracles were for. So when somebody tells you that these miracles were for something else, then you have to, when you have to rearrange your whole thought process to accept some new doctrine, your red flags need to go up. So this one right here is one of those things that if you don't have any understanding of what's happening, this will definitely take you off your path. Genesis chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 25 and 26. Now remember what I said before. You see Yahweh, or Lord in all caps, that was Yahweh. So then the question is, this is how some people say they must have always known the name, because you see Yahweh all throughout Genesis. Read.
And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For Elohim, said she, has appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh.
And people say, okay, they began to call upon the name of Yahweh right here early in Genesis. Now, let's what we have to first understand is that these books are called the 5 books of Moshe. This means that this information was passed down from Elohim unto Moshe. We must take into consideration that these events are not being recorded in real time. What that means is these events have already happened when they were given unto Moshe. Moshe was not alive during the time of Cain, Abel, Seth, and Enos. When we consider that Moshe knew the true name of Yah as he's giving these things unto Israel, we understand then how the name was placed in the book, dating back to a time before Moshe. If the name of Yah was known all along, when we examine the names of our forefathers, we should find names that end in Yah or IAH. When we examine the entire book of Genesis, we only come across two names that end in IAH, and one of them is a place. So let's go and examine those two names that we found. Let's go to Genesis chapter 46. Genesis 46, and let's read verses 16 and 17.
Verse 16. And the sons of Gad, Xiphon and Haggai, Shunai and Esbon, Eri and Arodai and Areli. And the sons of Asher, Yimnah and Ishua and Isui and Beriah and Serah their sister. And the sons of Beriah, Heber and Malchiah.
So when you look at that, it says it looks like Beriah. Now read the Strong's definition.
Apparently from the feminine of H7451 with prepositional prefix. In trouble, Beriah, the name of 4 Israelites, Beriah.
Now look at the pronunciation of that at the top. That is Beriah. That's not Beriah. And then the definition means in trouble. See, if it was talking about Yah, it would have said something such and such Yah. Now, let's go to prove that. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Genesis chapter 22. And this one is interesting. Because understand now, Moshe is not alive during Genesis. All of this stuff is given to him. And I have to pose a question here. If any of you were writing something, let's say about my life, and we're talking about something that started today, you, of course, will be saying, okay, well, Esaac did such and such. But then if you had to tell somebody about an event that happened to my life, happened to me when I was 25, what would you say? You're going to still be saying Esau because that's my name. But that wasn't my name when I was 25. Consider that. Now, Genesis chapter 22, and let's read verses 1 and 2.
And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now your son, your only son Esau, whom you love, and get you into the land of Moriah.
Wait a minute, Moriah. Okay, keep reading.
And offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell you of.
So Moriah, that's interesting. So now let's read the definition of Moriah.
From H7200 and H3050, scene of Yah.
So this is ending in Yah. And this is in Genesis. So this is rather interesting. How does Yah's name end up in Genesis? Now, consider now. Go back to the beginning of chapter 22 and verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham and told him to go and make this offering. So we're going to have to explain a thing or two. You guys don't have to go to this scripture because it's going to be on the next graphic. 2 Chronicles 3 and 1. Read that.
Then Shlomo began to build the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem in the Mount Moriah, Mount Moriah, where Yahweh appeared unto David his father.
So Yahweh appeared unto David right there.
In the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite.
So we then have this place of Mount Moriah, which is also the place where Esau was said to be offered. But here's the thing. It didn't belong to Israel yet. So he's using the name Moriah because that's what the name is going to be. It ain't their stuff. Right now, it's still Canaan land. You can't go and name somebody else's stuff yet. But he know what the name is and what it's going to be. So he's using it. That's how the name of Yahweh gets in this book before that time. Now let's go prove that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 35. See, you can't say, I'm going to go buy this house. I'm going to buy this house next year. But you know what? I'm going to go and remodel that kitchen this week. You're going to jail. That's not your stuff. You have not purchased that stuff yet. You can't go in there and go to remodeling that kitchen. No, it's okay, ma'am. I'm going to buy this next year. Well, you come back when you buy it and you can come and remodel this kitchen. Genesis chapter 35, and let's read verses 1 through 15.
And Elohim said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto Elohim that appeared unto you when you fleddeth from the face of Esau your brother. Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I'll make there an altar unto Elohim, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of Elohim was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz,
Now what's Luz?
which is in the land of Canaan. That is Bethel.
Oh, okay. So he calling it Bethel, but it ain't Bethel yet. But he knows that it's going to be Bethel, so he's calling it Bethel. But the real name of the city is Luz, because it still belongs to the heathen. See, without knowing that, now somebody done conjured you up and got you off into some mess now. So he's saying Bethel. It can't be the house of El once the heathens got it. It can't be Moriah. The heathens still own it now. But we know what it's going to be. Understand, all of this has already taken place by the time Moshe starts writing. So he don't want to publicize Luz. What I want to publicize that for? That's going to glorify the heathen. I'm going to glorify my Elohim. I ain't going to say what it was. I might mention, and that's what happens. There's a few times that it tells you what it was, and then he goes on by his business, and he keep calling it Bethel, 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 Jerusalem, Jerusalem. But from time to time, you'll read, and they say, oh yeah, by the way, it used to be such and such. And that's what it was when they were there. And I don't know why, that's a strange concept. Down in South Fulton, they got some cities that wasn't there 5 years ago. You go over here, Stonecrest is a city. Stonecrest used to be a mall. Now they made a city out of a mall. So now when somebody say, I'm going to the city of Stonecrest, you mean you're going to the mall of Stonecrest? No, man, Stonecrest is a city now. What? When did that? Go ahead.
He and all the people that were with him. Verse 7. And he built there an altar and called the place El Bethel.
All right. Now, in that last graphic we seen, and he called the name of the place Bethel, but the name of the city was called Luz at the first. So Yahweh knows, they know what it's going to be, and he's even referring to it as Bethel, but it can't be Bethel yet, but it will be Bethel. So now, at verse 7 here, he then did you finish verse 7 yet?
Because there Elohim appeared unto him when he fled from the face of his brother.
Now read the definition there.
Bethel from H1008. House
Now
of
go
Elohim.
to verse the 7 one. El Bethel.
El Bethel from H410 and H1008. The Elohim of Bethel. El Bethel. The title given to a consecrated spot by Jacob.
So then we have to start considering that each one of these things, he is referring to El, which is God. He is not referring to Yah. See, the holy name of Israel comes forth first. See, Yahweh would have caused some issues giving them Yah, and he had not established the holiness of El. Everybody understood the holiness of El. Go ahead.
Back to verse 8.
Yep.
But Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak. And the name of it was called Alon Bakuth. And Elohim appeared unto Jacob again, when he came out of Padam Aram, and blessed him. And Elohim said unto him, Your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel.
Right. So then let's go to the definition of Israel. Go ahead.
From H8280 and H410, he will rule as Elohim.
Right. So anytime you see something end in El, the definition is going to end or have God in it, because that's what El is, God. So when we look at Israel, he will rule as El, or Prince of El. That's why it ends Israel. The names are basically sentences. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And Elohim said unto him, I am El Shaddai, be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. And the land which I gave Abraham and Esau, to you I will give it, and to your seed after you will I give the land.
All right. Go to, I want to read this next, this graphic of Sarah, so that we understand the two. It says Israel. In the last graphic, it was H8280 and H410. In Strong's, when you see the H, that means it's a Hebrew word. These two words were put together to make the word Israel. So then this pic of Sarah, H8280, says a primitive root to prevail, to have power as a prince. Remember, Sarah was renamed from Sarai. Sarai meant contention. Sarah means princess. All right. So from princess, then go to the next graphic of El.
El from H410. Shortened from H352, strength, as adjective mighty, especially the Almighty, but used also of any deity. Elohim, goodly, great, idol, might, power, strong. Compare names in El.
Right. Compare names in El. So even the heathen would use El, because it's a general term for God. So not only did we understand anything that ended in El, the heathens did too. So this is why he said, they knew me as El Almighty. Because other ones would call that God El too. Because that's all El meant, God. So consider that. Keep reading.
Verse 13. And Elohim went up from him in the place where he talked with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon. And Jacob called the name of the place where Elohim spake with him, Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrat. And Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor.
So then you find all of these different names, even for the same thing. I want you to read this definition for Almighty there too, because understand what he says is, I appeared unto them as El Shaddai. So we read El, now read Almighty.
H7703, Shaddai, the Almighty, Almighty.
That's from H7703. The word itself, Almighty, is H7706. Shaddai, from H7 said, because so that's giving you the root from where it comes from. So when it says they knew me as El Shaddai, so then we consider and go back to what we read before in Exodus 3. It says, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Esaac, and unto Jacob by the name of Elohim Almighty, which is El Shaddai. But by my name Yahweh was I not known unto them. So Moshe understanding the name from day one. Of course, this is the name he's writing. This is what he's dealing with from day one. So, and I think what happens is a lot of times we're reading Genesis and thinking that it is happening in real time. He didn't know none of these people. And if you don't understand that, you're taking your tenses out. As far as past, present, future tense, you're getting your tenses out of order. Because you're thinking, okay, that happened and then he wrote it down. Okay, this happened and he wrote it down. No. That's not how that's happening. Let's go to Genesis chapter 48. Genesis 48 and verses 1 through 7.
And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, behold, your father is sick. And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, behold, your son Joseph comes unto you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, El Shaddai appeared unto me.
I'm sorry, who did?
El Shaddai.
He said El Shaddai appeared unto him. He didn't say Yahweh. El Shaddai appeared unto me. And who's this talking?
Jacob.
Wait a minute. Exodus 3. He said, I appeared unto them in the name of El Shaddai. But we let somebody with some old language tell us that ain't what it meant. Well, then you're going to need to go and change this one too. You see how many things you're going to have to change to follow these new doctrines? Because this is where Jacob told his son, El Shaddai appeared unto me. Go ahead.
And Jacob said unto Joseph, El Shaddai appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me.
I'm sorry, Luz is what?
Bethel.
I'm sorry, Luz is what?
Bethel.
Okay. So, okay. No, I'm sorry, man. Y'all need to get it. Because somebody gonna come to you sounding extra intelligent. And you need to just break it down in its simplest form. Least you out trying to practice Hebrew root words and you trying to do all this. Pause. Wait a minute. Same place. Yahweh gave you everything you need. The problem is, do you look for it? Read.
And said unto me, behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I'll make of you a multitude of people, and will give this land to your seed after you for an everlasting possession. And now your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto you in the land of Egypt before I came unto you into Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine.
Mm-hmm.
And your issue, which you begetteth after them, shall be yours, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, when yet there was but a little way to come on to Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrathah. The same is Bethlehem.
The same is Bethlehem. So they have already have names for these places because he knows what they are now and what they will be. And we have to take that in consideration when we read. And let's go back. Let's go to Genesis chapter 32. Genesis 32, and let's read verses 24 through 31.
Verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, And there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him.
This is why some people said Jake always walked with a limp. Go ahead.
And he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. And he said, I'll not let you go, except you bless me.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Yisrael.
So now the angel is giving him a holy name. The angel don't give him no name that has anything to do with Yah. Where does the beginning blessing of this whole thing start? Ending in El. Yahweh has established the holiness of his son Israel, of whom we are named. Then he'll go to the next level of giving you his name. But we're going to let other people take everything out of order. See, you can bake a pie and I can give you full instructions. Let me tell you something. If you take one of them instructions out of order, that pie going to be horrible. You can't do that in the order that you want to do that in. Yahweh is going to establish El. He establishes Israel. Then he establishes his holy name. Yohanan the Baptist had to be set up first. Then Yahshua had to be set up. Yahshua could not be set up before Yohanan. And then afterwards, Yohanan had to be pushed out of the way. You can't just do that in any old order. Go ahead.
You know, even with Yohanan kept speaking of who was coming.
Right.
Like, don't get used to me.
Exactly. Even though he wasn't exactly sure of all the details. Go ahead.
For as a prince have you power with El and with men, and have prevailed.
Uh-huh.
And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray you, your name. And he said, Wherefore is it that you does ask after my name?
Right. My name ain't none of your business. Because then you're going to be trying to worship the angel. Go ahead.
And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel.
All right. No, he said Peniel.
Peniel.
And I want you to specifically pay attention to that. Because what was said, all of us going to be able to pronounce these words the same way. Now I want you to see the same word listed two different ways. Verse 30. He says, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. Keep reading.
For I have seen Elohim face to face.
So that's what the definition means. Go ahead.
And my life is preserved.
Uh-huh.
And as he passed over Penuel.
I'm sorry, pass over what?
Penuel.
All right, right. So one person to pronounce it Peniel, another one pronounce it Penuel. They talking about the same thing. Read.
The sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh.
All right. Now read the definitions so we can show you what the definition in Strong's says.
Peniel from H6439.
Uh-huh.
Penuel. Peniel.
Right. Now you see it's got both of them right there. But see, we got folks that's arguing, going back and forth over how you gonna say this and how you gonna say that. And they got both of them here. Same thing. And the scripture has both of them. Read.
Face of El. A place east of Jordan also has Penuel,
Uh-huh.
the name of two Israelites.
So the same thing. Face of El. Same thing. Now, as we notice, two different ways were given to pronounce this same word. And the scripture lists both ways. When we examine the names in the Bible, we find that they are names that are absolutely identical, except for the name of Yah in one place and the name of El in another place. Go to the next graphic here. Y'all don't have to turn to this one. This is 1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 1. And I want you to read the definition of Abiel. Well, read the verse first. That's already on your paper.
Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel.
All right. So Kish was the son of Abiel. Read the definition of Abiel.
H22, father, that is, possessor of El.
All right. Father of El, that is possessor of El. So Abiel. So we see Abi is father. All right. Now, in 1 Samuel chapter 8, let's go there. 1 Samuel chapter 8. And I want you to read verses 1 and 2.
And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Yoel, and the name of his second, Abiyah.
Now, you see names end in El and then end in Yah. We don't find any names end in Yah in Genesis, other than Mariah, and we know why. Okay, so now read the definition of Abiyah.
From H29. Abiyah from H1 and H3050, father, that is worshiper of Yah.
Now you see the only difference? The definition is still father, but then one is of El, one is of Yah. So you don't find any Abiyahs in Genesis. Why? Because they ain't know the name. But you're going to find the Els in Genesis. Where do you find those names ending in Yah? After Genesis. And that's something that we have to, get. Because if we start dealing with what all of these things are, that we're going to start dealing with everybody's pronunciation, now they take that word that's supposed to be what? Yahweh. Now think about all the names you got. That means that would be Abba Yahweh, Yahweh. How you even Abba Yahweh? Abba Yahweh. Abba Yahweh. That boy, that gonna confuse me right there. Abba Yahweh.
We watching Fat Albert.
You know what I'm saying? It do sound like the Fat Albert do. Abba's woman's stupid, Stevens, Yubas, stubborn, stupid, skipping to mamas, nervous. Let's go to Exodus chapter 3. Yeah, I won't be calling your name. Look here, what's your name? Let me talk to you. I get confused with all that. Exodus chapter 3. And let's read 11 through 14.
And Moshe said unto Elohim, Who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I'll be with you, and this shall be a token unto you, that I have sent you. When you have brought forth the people out of Egypt, you shall serve Elohim upon this mountain. And Moshe said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The El of your fathers have sent me unto you.
The what? The El of your fathers. So they all understood El as God. This is the question that he's asking. When the God of your father, when they say the El of your fathers, what shall I say unto them? Go ahead.
And they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them?
Right. So, of course, what we get from so-called educated people is that this question didn't really mean what the question says, that they already knew the name. See, now you got to rearrange your whole thought process to take on somebody else's. Go ahead.
And Elohim said unto Moshe, Yahweh. And he said, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yah had sent me unto you.
Right. And the whole thing of that, and Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel. He only said half of that. I am. So with all of this talk, his name is Yah. The whole part after that is a statement of his power. Now, how we get that confused, he didn't say, tell them I am that I am sent me unto you. No, he says, I am. And read the definition of Yah.
Yah, H3050. Yah, contracted for H3068. and meaning the same, Yah, the sacred name.
Right. Now, I find it extremely interesting in how these things came about. Go to Psalm 68 and let's read, because this I want you to go to this one. We're talking about a video is supposed to be about the ancient name and the clarity of the name. And it takes an hour and 30 minutes into an hour and 48-minute video before they even say the name Yah. And then it was said by accident when they was trying to explain another name. Then says, oh, this is the name in short form. Wait a minute. So you mean you've been telling me Yahweh over and over and over? And this is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand about brainwashing techniques. By the time they even accidentally say Yah, they're actually saying it to explain why somebody used the term Yeshaya. And then he accidentally comes across and said, well, Yah, that's the short form of his name. Wait a minute. So we've been talking for an hour and 30 minutes and you ain't mentioned the name of Yah? I thought that's what the whole purpose of the video was. But we got to get to, check this out now. You got to get to an hour and 30 minutes before you hear Yah. All these names we hear that we read end in Yah. But we got to get to an hour and 30 minutes of your Paleo Hebrew video before we hear the name Yah. And this got 500,000 hits, y'all. So if you base your understanding on how many other people were confused by it, you're about to be in trouble. Go ahead, bro.
I was just going to say, and we know the agenda was to push that name in your head because,
yes,
like I mentioned to you, he mentioned about the pronunciation of David and how we say Dawid.
Yes.
But he never did say how to say it correctly.
No, because he contradicted himself. And I'm gonna tell you, we're going to get to that later. Why he mentioned Dawid but didn't go into it. Because it contradicted another thing that was said before. That's why you can't go into it. You can't just listen to what people say. You got to listen to what they don't say. See, a lie will never stand on its own. See, that's something that my mama taught me when I was a kid. Whenever you tell a lie, you're going to need to tell another one. If you tell a lie and say you was at the store at 10 o'clock, and then the news come on, they say it was a robbery at that store at 10 o'clock. Get what? Now you got, now, baby, why weren't you in the robbery? They said it was a robbery at that store at 10 o'clock. What? See, now you got to tell another lie. I had went to the back of the store, and then I was around back, you know what I'm saying, when they had robbed the store per se.
See that, or wait a minute, did you rob that store?
You know what I'm saying? see, now another lie is needed. A lie will never be able to stand by itself. So whenever you think something is a lie, just keep listening. Because sooner or later, they're going to talk to a point where that lie going to get lonely by itself. That lie get cold. It need another lie to keep it warm. Here come another one. Before you know it, 4, 5, 6 lies over there joined up together. And then they all cold. They need somebody else. Right? Just keep letting it go. And them lies are going to keep stacking up. Where you at, bro?
Psalm 68.
Go ahead and read that.
Verse 4. Sing unto Elohim. Sing praises to his name. Extol him that rides upon the heavens by his name Yah.
Now, extol means call upon. How do you do a video about the name and you never get to the point that says call him by his name Yah? That didn't say Yahweh. It didn't say Yahuwah. It didn't say Yahweh. It didn't say Yahuwah. The angels don't say hallelujah, Yahweh. The angels say hallelujah. The angels didn't say hallelujah. And if anybody gonna know how to say it, I would think it would be the angels. They not influenced by any of our language problems. Wait, bro. Did you finish that?
And rejoice before him.
All right. Now, Like I said before, the name of Yah is not mentioned until an hour and 30 minutes into an hour and 48-minute video. And it was only mentioned to explain how some people come up with Yeshaya as the name of the Messiah, who we call Yahshua. It was stated that Yah is the short form of his name, which they claim to be Yahweh. Psalm 68 is never mentioned in the video that professes to be about the holy name. The video that was sent also stated that there was no O, U, or E sound in ancient Hebrew. This would make the root of Yod and names such as Uziel and Dawid impossible to speak. This doctrine would also null and void the words of the Messiah on the torture stake. Let's go to Matthew chapter 27. That's why he couldn't explain. That's why he said Dawid, because he said there was no E sound. But then he used the W to explain the Wa part. So he went into Dawid. Wait a minute. How you said Dawid with no E?
Dawad.
If there's no U, how you say Uziel? There's names, believe it or not, and I say I didn't know this until I was reading. There's a name of Uzi and Uziel. Uzi, you got two names. I said, man, because see, you know how we shorten up everything. So, you know, she called herself Uziel. You know, we just call her Uzi for short. There is a Uzi in him. And it means forceful. I said, man, that fit her. That fit her. That fit her. I will not call you Uziel ever again. That's Uzi. Yeah, that is fitting. I like Uzi better now. I know what it means, huh?
And now we understand.
See, one is Uziel is strength of Elohim. Uzi is just strength. It just, and that's her. She just knocked down a wall. Get out of here, wall.
Well, we see why the heathens take certain names and use it for certain of their products.
Right. Because even in the unrighteous part of Uzi, ain't nothing you won't play around with. Huh? Yep. There it is. You go, girl. You go, girl. Matthew 27. And let's read verses 45 through 47.
Now from the 6th hour, there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yahshua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
Now, this is Hebrew. He is speaking Hebrew. If there's no E sound, what Yahshua talking about? Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. My Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Read.
I mean, even with that, if there's no E sound, where we get Elohim, all that's thrown out.
But see, now you understand. See, I don't try to stop brothers when they say certain things. Remember, it says there also no O. So when we say shalom, why you think you encounter certain brothers who be like shalom?
Say what?
Yeah, that's where they get shalom from, because they doing, man, I don't try to correct them. Brothers say shalom, I say shalom. You know, not going on about my business. I don't try to, you know, say I know what he's saying. He know what I'm saying. If you want to speak, it's like, hey, this book, if we go back into read the Apocrypha, it's written in Old English. If you read that, it looks like Ebonics. I mean, even if a brother came up to me, how thine thitherest thine brother? How art thou? You know, I know the brother asking me, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? How art thou? I'm like, a brother fine. You know what I'm talking about? So, I mean, I know what he's saying. But I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to be talking back like him. You know, how art thou, my brother? I'm not going to answer, thou art fine, brother. No, I'm going to answer like me. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that?
That is to say, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, this man calls for Elias.
Now, ask yourself a question. Why did some of the people think he was calling from Elias? Why did some people understand what he said and others didn't? Eli, lama sabachthani. This is Hebrew. How is it that some of them thought he called for Elias? So then there wasn't one common way of talking then, huh? Right? You let these people get you off in it, and you're going to be howling at the moon. Let's go to Luke chapter 15. You let them keep talking. See, you got to learn when to turn certain things off. And there's a responsibility that's there. When you get a hold to something, before you spread that to somebody else, you need to go ahead and do some research and look into that. At least you get that to somebody, and you see them a year later. You say, oh, man, I ain't seen you in a long time. Where you been? Oh, I wasn't in the Word no more after you sent me that video. What? You mean my video got you out the Word? Yeah. When you sent me that stuff, I was so confused. I didn't do nothing after that. I just started howling at the moon. Luke chapter 15, and let's start at verse 4.
What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lose one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after that which is lost until he find it?
Right. Go ahead.
And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying unto them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost.
Right. So when Yahweh gets just one of us that's lost to come back into the sheepfold, it is a rejoicing that goes on in heaven for that. Go ahead.
I say unto you that likewise joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that repents more than over 99 just persons which need no repentance.
Right. So how do those people repent? We read it in the New Testament. When someone is baptized unto salvation, then that is repentance, and there is a rejoicing that goes on in heaven. Heaven don't rejoice every time a video get a view. So it ain't just because some video get 500,000 hits, it ain't 500,000 rejoicing going on in heaven. If one of them people come and get baptized, now there's rejoicing in heaven. But this is why you have to do your research. The same video that teach all of that, go through their other videos. They teach against baptism too. So first, you got to learn another language. You got to learn how to pronounce everything different. Oh, and then you got to throw away your baptism too. Right. Then, what the word says, Yahweh is going to restore a pure language unto us. They got another video saying, no, that ain't what that means. Right. But let us hit a conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 7. But I tell you what, you learn some things about what Israel like to deal with, because you look up now. I don't know if those are organic plays or not, because you can make a video get 300,000 views with the right software. It can be up an hour and you can have 300,000 views. Ain't but two people watched it, him and him and his mom. So you can make that say whatever you want it to say. But if that's genuine, that's a whole lot of confused people. And when you get right down to all of these interesting doctrines, you're going to find one thing. They don't go nowhere and they don't do nothing. Find out what congregation they belong to. They don't. Find out when they got baptized. They didn't. Find out what kind of work they do. They don't do no works. They just put out videos to confuse people. As they be like, what you do? Oh, I confuse people. That's what I do. Right. Go ahead, bro.
No, when you check out actually the comments, I like checking the comments.
Bro, I'm so glad you said that. Go ahead.
There was somebody that was actually confused when you see
yes!
in the comments.
There was somebody that said, looking in the comments, that they were saying, I don't know what to worship now. I don't know what to do after looking at this video. And I was like, that was the purpose of the video, boo-boo.
Mm-hmm.
He did exactly what he wanted to do with you, because now you are so confused, you won't go left or right. But then, reading down, you didn't see this one right away. because there were several people that had put up the same video. When you went to another one, there was a brother who spoke Hebrew, and he said, what you saying don't make no sense. You put a ah behind every consonant, and the way you supposed to be is so be ah, ba, ka, ga, da. He's like, brother, you can't even, how do you even explain a Hebrew name without being able to say, if there's no O, how do you, which you explain it with root words, how do you even say yod if there ain't no O? He ain't answer that. Right. Right. So, brother, going through them comments is key. So before somebody just go out and send something, no. You need to spend some time, start going down them lines and reading what other people have said, what kind of questions are there, and see how they respond to them. See how they respond to other people saying, what you saying don't make no sense. So explain this. Brother said, how you even say Yaakov if ain't no O? That would be those crickets, right? Jeremiah chapter 7, and let's start that at verse 1.
The word that came to Yirmiah from Yahweh, saying, stand in the gate of Yahweh's house, and proclaim there this word, and say, hear the word of Yahweh, all you of Yehudah, that enter into these gates to worship Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the El of Israel, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Trust you not in lying words, saying, the temple of Yah, the temple of Yah, the temple of Yah are these. For if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor.
These are the things that's going to keep Israel in the kingdom. See, while we trying to figure out how we going to pronounce this, how we going to do that. No, this is the stuff that got you kicked out of the land, and this is the stuff, doing it right is what's going to get us access to the land. How you pronounce a word ain't going to get you kicked out. It says we ought to love Yahweh with our whole heart. That's the stuff that's going to get us in. You think Yahweh don't know that we pronounce words differently? Let Yahweh sort that out. If we spend so much time trying to learn root words, now we're stepping on these commandments, lying to each other, doing all these other things. What difference do it make if you can speak 4 languages, but you can't figure out how to forgive your brother? You can't figure out how to forgive your sister. You can't figure out how to walk in the righteousness of these commandments, but you speak 4 languages. Yahweh gonna give you judgment in all 4 of them languages. Hell, fire, damnation. Equatito, el badido, el burno. Read, man.
You know, even with Saul as he traveled through Asia Minor and all those places, and we know that he spoke different languages. We don't read nowhere where he's trying to teach these people to read Hebrew or learn Hebrew.
Right.
He's telling them how they got to conduct themselves.
He's teaching them in their language. He ain't teaching them. Now say el commandmento. El commandmento. No. Because you know what's general? There's certain things about walking in righteousness that's general. When you get right down to altercations that Esaac and Abraham had with the Africans about dealing with their wife. He said, man, why you didn't tell me this was your wife? You told me that was your sister. Now judgment might come upon us because, you know, we might have done something with your wife thinking that it was your sister. Now, how do they understand that? First of all, wasn't no commandments given at that time. So there was general understanding that, oh, if that's his wife, you keep your hands off of her. They understood that. There was a general understanding about how people are supposed to be treated. When the African raped Dinah, he knew what he did. It didn't need to be no law to say, you know what? I think I might have done wrong. Because I took some stuff. That's why them brothers was like, oh, we gonna kill him. Wasn't no official law code. So how they know it was wrong? There are various things that are understood. Go ahead.
Verse 6. If you oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your hurt. Then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit.
Right. And these things that you do, these are the things that's going to get you kicked out of the kingdom. I don't care how you're talking. See, we've dealt with some of this before. Me and Kish, remember, having a brother bring us some of this stuff, and basically he was ready to, we need to go out there and change the sign and put Yahasharallah. Because see, the L part's gone. So now they wanted to deal with the ancient Hebrew. That's why you have people saying Yasharal. Because now they want to go back to whatever they think was the oldest thing, and let's set ourselves up according to that. And we're going to step on all these blessings that Yahweh has given. What do you think the whole gift about speaking in tongues was? So so we all spend all our time learning one language. So what we going to do when the brothers come from Spain, when they come from South America, when all of these brothers speak all of these different languages? But all we trying to speak is this one. What good is that going to do us? We still going to need that gift to be able to communicate with all of these people that come and speak 50 different languages. What is your one language going to do? Because we all know one language. These people not all coming from one place. What do you think the gift was about? But what we're going to do is step on Yahweh's gift so we can do whatever we can do with our own natural abilities. Right. Your natural abilities is going to get you killed. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 9. Will you steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense to Baal, and walk after other gods whom you know not?
Yeah, I can do that because I speak Hebrew. See, when I was stealing in Hebrew. So that's different. You go ahead and keep believing that. Go ahead.
And come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we're delivered to do all these abominations.
We are delivered to do all these abominations. And some of them same people that came up to me with that Yahasharallah stuff before, them same people getting investigated by the federal government right now for stealing almost $100-something thousand from other Hebrew Israelites. Yeah, and they were doing that same Yahasharallah. Right. See if Yahasharallah gonna come save you. So what happened? As they spending time with root words, they stepping on these commandments. See, the adversary know how to get your focus on the wrong thing. Because you be focusing on all this and you don't understand. Hey, you stepping on that on the other side. Hey, you stepping on that on the other side. Yeah, but I'm learning it. Yeah. You stepping on that on the other side. Go ahead, brother.
Is this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I have seen it, says Yahweh.
Right, a den of robbers. People say, I don't rob. No, some rob Yahweh in tithes and offerings. We'll spend $50,000 adding a whole wing on our house and bring $4 and put it in the basket. I've done my part. Right. And they're going to be so confused when Yahweh said, you're not coming in. They're going to be so confused when Yahweh let Gentiles, Hispanics, Asians, y'all come on in. And they're going to be like, yeah, but I'm black. Yeah, I know. And you stand your black self right outside that gate. Come on in here, y'all. Come on in. Right. Right. Stay back, black. Right. Ready?
But go you now unto my place which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Israel. And now, because you have done all these works, says Yah, and I spake unto you, rising up early and speaking, but you heard not.
Right. I spake unto you, rising up early and speaking unto you. How? Because I sent servants. Yahweh is a great Elohim. He ain't going to come and talk to you personally. Nobody need to go to your house and wake you up and talk. No. He got servants for that. But you wouldn't hear my word that proceeded out of the mouth of my servants. But I tell you what, it's one of those things where it says, My people, they don't know to do good, but we wise to do evil. We hear some evil, and here you go. It intrigues us. Look at how many people turn, they see some Jerry Springer, and they all into it. And you got them Jerry Springer Hebrews, Jerry. They be waiting for some conflict. We be going through the internet. We see some kung fu fighters on the street yelling at people. Oh man, I want to look at this. I want to look at this. Jerry. Bunch of mess. But that's what we're attracted to. Go ahead.
And I called you, but you answered not. Therefore will I do unto this house, which is called by my name, when you trust, and unto the place which I gave to you and to your fathers, as I've done to Shiloh.
Right. When you don't walk in righteousness, it causes separation. So you can go around, I don't care. Understand, our people spoke fluent Hebrew. That didn't save us. He said, look at what you're doing. Look, all this stuff that you're doing, and I'm supposed to let you to stay here? No. Go ahead.
And I'll cast you out of my sight, as I've cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim.
Right. And when we, keep reading.
Therefore pray not you for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear you.
Don't even pray for them. They done got so far out of the way. Now, understand, we're not talking about some strange nation. We're talking about bloodline Hebrews. He said, don't pray for them, because they ain't going to do right. It don't matter what you tell them. See, there are some that are down for Yahweh and down for the cause. And there's others that they done bump in the road, Hebrews. As soon as the first bump in the road come, they out of here. Sometimes I wish we just go ahead and hit that bump so they can get the hell on. My elder used to say it all the time. I used to think something wrong with that old man. I was like, I ain't never seen nobody that be trying to run people out of the church. But he like, man, they just taking up space, son. I was like, what are you talking about? I kept sitting and I kept learning. See, where y'all sitting, I done sat there before. I know what it feel like to get cut. I know, and let me tell you something, these little baby cuts I be getting y'all, they ain't nothing like that old man. That old man didn't care about nobody's feelings. When he cut you, you needed surgery to repair yourself, okay? These little baby cuts y'all get from me. Oh, y'all wouldn't been able to deal with the old man. So I done sat in that seat before. So I understand every look, every smirk, everything that happened when you get cut. Because it doesn't happen to me. But y'all ain't never sat here. I done sat where you sitting. I know what it feel like, and I know what go through your mind. So I know what's happening. And if you don't check yourself, you're going to end up having some issues. Been there, done that. Go ahead, bro.
That was it.
That was it. That's all that we're going to do for today. Guard your hearts and your mind, Israel. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.